I recommend anyone who's interested in raising money from investors to read venture deals. Um, at the very minimum, you'd understand what the terms are going to look like. I feel like a lot of investors, sorry, a lot of entrepreneurs stumble there, especially if it's your first time. You've never done it before. So how are you supposed to know all these things? And anyone who has more information than you has an advantage. So definitely close that gap as much as possible.
Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedelak. Thank you for listening to the show. I would love if you could give us your opinion on how you felt about the show, your experience that you have in regards to what we've been talking about. I am having an absolute blast, but your input is like dynamite on that explosion. So give us your input. We'd love to hear from you. Any questions, comments, concerns? Give us everything you got. We love it. Thanks. I hope you're having an awesome day. Welcome to the Business Ownership Podcast, brought to you by Awareness Strategies, helping you navigate the waters between entrepreneurship and ownership. Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedelak, and I'm super glad that you're here with us today because I'm here with my most amazing guest, Eli. Eli, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So give everybody the highlight of who you are and what you do for business.
Right. So my name is Eli Packouz. I'm an inventor. I started two companies. My first one came out with 7 products, and right now I've been working on a product called Instafloss, which is a device that can floss all your teeth automatically in 10 seconds, better than you can. That has been a lengthy process, and I'm happy to talk about everything I've learned along the way.
I love it. So how did you get into Instafloss? I'm going to say dental things as a thing, but how'd you get into that?
Well, in the same way that you get into any invention, which is you start with a problem. And the problem that I had is not very unique. 70% of Americans regularly skip flossing because it takes too long. And what's more disheartening in my book is that the 30% who do floss are almost universally flossing incorrectly. So it's a problem that I had and that many people had. And so I became obsessed with trying to solve it.
Well, I know I've always been obsessed by teeth. It was at many years ago, one of the lives I went into as a dental assistant. But let's go into kind of the business of it. So at this point, well, let's back up the bus a bit. Did you started with the idea, the concepts? How did that all roll out for you?
You mean what do you mean by how did it roll out for me?
Yeah.
Can I ask
Well,
you to be more specific with that
one, I
question?
ask very generalized questions, and two, I'll ask you 28 questions, and you can pick whichever one you want when you get there. But when it comes to kind of the entrepreneurial journey of Instafloss,
Uh-huh.
did you start with backing? Did you start with, hey, I think I'm going to go and tinker in my garage and go and figure this thing out? Was it a little more in depth than that, somewhere along that spectrum? How did it transpire?
Right. So first it comes the genesis is identifying the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then not being able to sleep for a month. I bought periodontal textbooks. I started downloading everything on PubMed related to flossing. I tried to see like what is flossing? Why are people doing it? What are we trying to accomplish to really just get an understanding of it. I believe I've read every single study that has been published on definitely water flossing, probably flossing in general for the last 50 years. And then I started having a concept of ways to tackle it. And so I called my good friend, Dr. Ralf Raud, and we started tinkering with prototypes. Eventually, we had a prototype that we figured would work, but we wanted to make sure that it could pass, academic rigor, because if you don't care about the results of the floss, you could floss in 0 seconds by not flossing. So it's only a 10-second floss if it's actually effective. So I actually started contacting professors who are, academics in dental science, and Dr. Anna Mascarenhas, who's the chair of the American Dental Association Council of Scientific Affairs, was kind enough to actually, take the time with me. And we showed her our prototypes, we showed her our devices, and she was like, oh, I see exactly what you're trying to do here, and I think this would work. Here's how I think you need to verify it. And so then we went on a long journey of testing and reiterating and retesting and so on. It was not simple and it was not quick. It was not cheap.
Well,
But
and I can imagine it wasn't cheap either because you're having to build, I assume, prototypes and it sounds like it's not just like a 3D plastic model. You actually have to produce something that's functioning to some extent.
yeah. I mean, so there's different aspects of it. One's like the ergonomics, how does it feel, etc., just to move the device. But the others, so we use water to do the cleaning because water jets can be more powerful than string. They can get deeper underneath the gum lines. Water molecules are smaller than string molecules. There's a lot of data on how they can remove more plaque and are better at reducing gingivitis, etc. So we're using these jets. So of course we have to pump these jets. We have to do all these things. So it's not that simple. And further, we actually have to verify that they're working. We started with actually experiments with pigs, and eventually we moved up to humans once we really established that we thought we knew what we were doing and so on. All the time, Dr. Anna Mascarenhas was given fantastic feedback. So yeah, this was not a cheap process. It was not a short process. So definitely at a certain point, we had to do some fundraising. We raised money from investors after, because I was funding the initially because I had a previous business. I was able to put some disposable income into this, but we reached a point where it was beyond my capacity to fund. So we raised money from investors, and then we started getting online communities involved. We wanted their feedback, and eventually we did a crowdfunding campaign, and we pre-sold $2.7 million worth of units, which helped us continue to do more engineering and setting up for manufacturing and actually delivering to the initial test group.
Nice. Well, one, congratulations for getting that far, because I know so many don't get that far. And that is a brutal route to go on the entrepreneurial journey. So you say how many people, including volunteers, spousal support, however you want to put it, did you have working with you at any given point up until just that point?
What is that point?
To where you went, to where you had the pre-sales in place.
Prior to the pre-sales, it was me, it was Dr. Raud. I mean, there was a lot of friends and family were giving their feedback and their input. We had a few engineers who were working with us on contracts, so like 3 different engineers who had worked in the dental space before, but it was on contract with them. So so it really depends on what you consider who is involved. What does involvement mean, right? That depending on how you define involvement, you could get anywhere between 4 people to the entire world economy.
Exactly. Well, and I think it's important for entrepreneurs to understand, especially investors, that it is not a solo trip, right? Somebody can start a coaching business and just go, okay, it's me, myself, and I'm going to make some phone calls. I'm going to make some money and it's going to be done. Whereas this clearly was not that. And to have to go out and do the presentations and talks and things like that, are you just a naturally what's the word I'm looking for? I was going to say clairvoyant, but that's not the word I'm looking for.
I'm certainly not clairvoyant.
Right. And like just outgoing and, hey, I can talk to anybody. I'm going to ask you for $1 million to help me set up my business. Or what was that aspect of that journey like?
Yeah. I would say that you certainly have a lot more confidence making a pitch when you are certain that your pitch is good.
Mm-hmm.
The more research you've done, the easier it's going to be. I feel like people get frustrated or they bluster or they feel like they can't do it when they're actually just unprepared. So because investors are going to ask a lot of questions that people often they hadn't even thought about it. A lot of people, they approach inventing or even business, unfortunately, from the perspective of, hey, I have a problem. This would be a solution for me. Okay, that's a great place to start. Problem solution. But then you have things like, well, how much would it cost to actually make it? How many people would actually buy it? Is there anything else like this in the market? How are you going to defend it from copycats or from other solutions? Could there be an even better solution? How are you going to scale? Do you know anything about manufacturing? Who's your target customer? What's your hiring strategy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of people, they haven't thought that far because they were just thinking, well, I have this problem and this would be a solution for me. When there's a lot more to solving they're solving a problem for you and they're solving a problem for everyone. And I've seen businesses fail. I mean, they managed to get really far and they still failed because they didn't think that far ahead, in the sense of, I know one company in particular that they had great prototypes, but was based on 3D models, and they didn't realize that that was not mass manufacturable. that the way molds worked in manufacturing could not create it. So they had to change the device. But at that point, they had a lot of liability, a lot of pre-order customers. And so they just went under because they couldn't create it in the way that they were promising or thought it would be or thought it would cost. So yeah, there's a lot more to it than just thinking about it like I have an inconvenience and I'd like a solution for my own inconvenience. That's a great place to start, but it's investors are going to ask you about everything up to the finish line. And so if you're not ready for everything up to the finish line, you may feel awkward and get flustered, and as you should. So I would say the number one cure for not feeling sufficiently confident is to think of every single way that you could be wrong and have an answer for that. And then you will be more confident in talking to people you are pitching.
Well, and I'm certain you could write a book about all the questions that investors are going to ask you that you need to be prepared for. That itself might look like War of the Roses for business.
I don't need to. There's already great books out there. I'm not gonna pretend that I'm reinventing the wheel. I recommend anyone who's interested in raising money from investors to read Venture Deals. At the very minimum, you'd understand what the terms are going to look like. I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs stumble there, especially if it's your first time. You've never done it before. So how are you supposed to know all these things? And anyone who has more information than you has an advantage. So definitely close that gap as much as possible.
Well, and you mentioned that the manufacturing process becomes kind of complicated with the amount of ingredients that are in it. Whatever products are in it, you have water, you have plastics, you have metals, you have things that have to be manufactured and drilled, and you have other things that need to be extruded. Those usually happen in two different plants. You got to bring them all together. Sure, yeah. Were you spending your time touring China trying to figure out how this is all going to go together, or was it more of an academic process at your desk trying to string pieces together?
So the first part of your question, no.
Sorry.
Because we don't manufacture in China.
Okay.
We manufacture in Mexico, so we're North American made. There's a bunch of reasons for it, which we could get into if you care for. But to answer to your second question, also no, it was not an academic exercise. Yes, I was going, and I actually was in the factory for almost a year in Mexico, because you need to be able to see things as they come to go with reiteration, because look, you can invent your device and that's great. You make a prototype. But when it comes to mass manufacturing, have to build 20 devices that are custom to making your device. So you're not inventing one device, you're making 20. Now, this may be daunting to someone who has not been in manufacturing before, and rightfully so. You should not be the one doing this if you haven't been through manufacturing before. So I would definitely find partners, whether that's a trusted manufacturer or a trusted technical co-founder, if you don't have that knowledge. But so I don't want to discourage anyone. Like, if you have an invention, you have a great prototype, just because you don't know how to do manufacturing doesn't mean that you are screwed and can't actually pursue your idea. No, you absolutely can, but somebody is going to have to now invent 20 machines to create your one. And that is a process with a lot of considerations. So yeah, so I've made 7 products before, so I was a bit familiar with it. So I was at the factory.
Nice. What would you say is your favorite part of this entire process?
My favorite part of the entire process is giving either a prototype or finished product or something to someone and seeing their feedback. Hopefully, wow, this solves my problem. Nothing beats that.
Nice. I love it. So you are now at the point of processing, you're selling, you're manufacturing. Life is grand and business is moving forward, or is there kind of a little more complexity to it than that?
There's a bit more complexity than that. So because we're a medical device, we're actually doing a soft launch. And we are delivering to our pre-order customers first, and anyone who happens to have heard of us through word of mouth and wants to go to our website and get the early version and whatnot. We're not going to stop them, but we're not running ads. We're not pushing into stores. We're not doing all this because we're gathering feedback and we're gathering data, because these devices can be expensive to manufacture. We want to take as much feedback as possible for iterations on iterations before we go and start cranking up the volume. So that's where we're at right now. So far, we've been doing a test. We call it a test run with over 3,000 at this point users, and we've been gathering a lot of data on every part of their experience. We've been taking this and we're making some iterations, and then we're getting ready for a larger market launch.
Nice. So seeing as this is a podcast and it'll be out there for the next 20, 50 years, whatever that might be,
Sure.
do you have expected dates of when you're going to be going public? Well, not public in the sense of an IPO, but
right.
selling.
I really am hesitant to give dates that are going to be out there for posterity, because I've given dates and been wrong, and it's better to be late than to be sucky, I think. So all I'm going to say is that if you're listening to this at some point in the future, which obviously you are, because the future is any moment past this one, right? It'd be very strange if there was like some sort of wormhole device in your, or I don't know what, some mechanism. Go make a profit off that if that's the case. But so for people listening to this in the future, go to instafloss.com and you'll be able to see exactly where we are at the moment. And you'll learn about whatever it is we're doing in the future. I'm sure it's cool.
I love it. So yes, we will of course have Eli's links in the show notes. So go ahead and scroll down, click on the links, open up in a new browser because we're not done yet. So I get to ask you at this point, at what point in life did you know that you were especially kind of crazy enough to think that you could become an entrepreneur?
I mean,
it's like, I don't know if I'm there yet.
yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. What does that even mean? What qualifies? I would say, it's always something that's clear in hindsight. I never set out to be, anything in particular. Like I got my start because I was with my brother and he had a problem, and we're like, oh, let's figure out a way to solve this. It's just sort of like if you're trying to solve problems, and then you realize that other people may be having the same problems, and that maybe you can scale it to solve those other problems too, hopefully in a profitable manner, because that's the only sustainable way you can do it. Then you'll find yourself being an entrepreneur. I don't feel like entrepreneurship is like, oh, that's something you be. It's something you do on the way. You're just trying to solve a problem, and this is, if you're actually taking the step to try to solve it at scale for lots of people, then congratulations, you're taking that journey in that attempt, and I hope you're successful.
I love it. So I want to take you back to your other company for a little bit, if that's okay. Mm-hmm. And kind of, you were working with your brother. Were you an engineer? Were either of you engineers? Did you just decide to kind of tinker with this? I mean, I'm asking 20 million questions because I love this process. I don't want to kind of shoebox you into an area of how it happened. I would love to have the story of how it unfolded for you. And like, was it an intention that, hey, I'm going to go build $1 million business? Or is it just, hey, we're tinkering, we're having fun with this, and we're going to figure out how to make it profitable or usable as soon as possible?
Right. So from my perspective is I was a physics student, so I had the hubris to believe that all disciplines were a subdiscipline of physics, and that if I just read the textbooks, I'd be able to figure it out. And to an extent, it's true, and to many extents, it's not. But I would say it started off with just trying to create a cool device, and then when we were showing it to people, they were like, oh, wow, I never heard of that. But, when you actually make it, I want one too. And being like, wait a second, let's see what we can do as the next step. And so the way we actually started the business was we went to a bunch of forums. It was a musical device. We went to basis forums, and basis are super nerds. And they were like, oh, that's really cool. Can you make it do this? Can you make it do that? Oh, that's awesome. I would pay X. I would pay Y. Nothing like this exists. Oh, there's something like that over there, but it can't do the following things. And then when we launched on Kickstarter, we already had a big following, well, big, but we had a passionate following on these forums, and they all came and they supported us and they bumped us to the first page, and we sort of scaled from there. So we bootstrapped it entirely, and just based on our involvement with these nerdy forums, that's how we got our first product out to market with that zero investment. Um, so we didn't start with the goal of the money. We started with the goal of the product, but we, when trying to create it for everybody else, be like, okay, well, it has to be within this price range. It has to have these features. We have to be able to do X. We have to be able to do Y. And that sort of is the constraints that you live under when trying to actually solve it for many people.
Nice. I love it. It sounds fascinating to me. It also sounds like it's one of those things where you find yourself in a tunnel, kind of it's black, but all of a sudden there's this string of hope that keeps pulling you a little bit more forward and a little bit more forward. And if I'm wrong, feel free to say that. Just want to ask, did it feel like that for you? And at what point did you go, hey, we are on this? Like, this is a thing and that I could do.
Um, I would say that there isn't a moment. There's just a series of moments, and the moments are continuing, and they will always continue, and they'll never stop. You'll never have made it, and you'll never have known. Because like there's the first like moment when you're like, oh wait, this would actually solve the problem. And there's a second moment where you're like, oh wait, I could actually build it. Then there's the third moment where you're like, oh, I think other people want this. And then they're like, oh, I could actually manufacture this at like a reasonable price. Like, oh, hey, I think I could gather the funds I need to make a small batch. Like, oh, people are buying it. People are liking it. I think I could, scale this. And then it's like, oh, I can come out with another product. Oh, I can hire people. I can, and it moves on, it moves on, it moves on. But every step there's another thing that you need. Oh, can we actually sustain the business? Can we keep growing? Can we gain market share? Can we respond to competition? Can we weather economic storms? Can we keep people on payroll? Can we make sure we're getting the most out of the team? Like we're not, because some people they're great inventors, but they're terrible managers, or they're terrible at scale, or they can't, or they had one idea and then a competitor comes up with something and they completely can't respond. They can't be flexible, or their margins were so slim that they were terrible marketers or terrible money managers or whatever it is, that they can't weather any sort of bumps in the road, and so on. Or, for me, coming out with more products in a different sector, and then moving up that rank, and then that had like a whole thing. Can I get it FDA approved? Can we actually get these scientific studies done on it? Can we get the medical establishment to actually accept and like the product rather than just some people? So, and these goalposts eventually like, can I exit my company? Is it sellable? If you exit it, oh well, what do I do with this windfall that I have? Like, can I set up and be comfortable for the rest of my life? Can I not lose it? Can I invest it? Can I start more stuff? Can I become an investor? And you will never have these questions end until you die. And if you had the capacity, the questions would still continue. But that's where you stop having the capacity.
Well, I love that you humored my questions. I appreciate it immensely. I also love the honesty with which you gave the answers, because to me, it's a question and a discussion that people need to be having as entrepreneurs, and not just listening to the marketing of somebody who goes, hey, buy my products and you're going to become rich overnight. That verbiage is driving me crazy in the world of entrepreneurialism right now. And I think this conversation is paramount that people can have, because it is intriguing inventing things. It is intriguing being in business. And there are things that you don't know that you need to figure out. And it's not necessarily going to be easy or fun to just go, hey, this is awesome. I now know how to do accounting. So, yeah. You have been absolutely awesome. Any last words for our peeps?
Yeah, I mean, I think just to touch on what you were saying, I 100% agree that, there is a business of trying to convince people that if you buy my product, you will be an entrepreneur. I think trying to be an entrepreneur is definitely the wrong way to go, because nobody cares. Like being an entrepreneur is not a product or a service that I want to buy from you. Like if you're not, like, congratulations, but like literally no one cares. If you solve a problem, product, service, arbitrage, whatever it is, every sector is solving some kind of problem. Then you can have something that you want. So like entrepreneurship is it's the journey you take in solving a problem. And people are like, oh, I want to take that journey. It's like so focused on, I want to be solving a problem rather than on the problem that you solve. So I think focus on problems, focus on solutions, and then be smart about actually accomplishing that. And that's the process of accomplishing that is entrepreneurship. And there is not one thing. It's a never-ending series of steps that will, you're just going to be kicking the can down the road forever, and you're going to be constantly butting up against things that you don't know. So you just have to be willing to learn more about the next steps, and then learn more about the steps after that, and continuously, challenge the unknown. But if you're on a mission to solve an actual problem, you're going to do that while you're trying to solve that problem.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much for your time, Eli. I appreciate it, and I know how valuable it is.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun, and I hope you have a great day.
Awesome. Peeps, this is Michelle Nedelec. Thank you for being here with us today. Be sure to subscribe to the show and share it with your friends. We love helping entrepreneurs grow.
Are you running a business over 7 figures but still struggling with technology headaches? Pay attention. You do not want to miss this offer. This podcast episode is brought to you by Awareness Strategies, who is offering a custom-built digital adoption roadmap for anyone running a business over 7 figures who's wanting to grow their business in the next 5 years. And it's not just a roadmap. They offer full implementation as well, if that scares the out of you. Check out awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap for more details today. The link's in the show's notes. Don't regret not doing this. Do it now. That's awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap.